going to give you an introduction to spirometry, and that is part of the last lab, our homeostasis lab, when we talk about lung function. And instead of doing summary questions for the last lab, lab 13, you're going to be asked to hand in a spirometry assignment. That spirometry assignment is going to look a little bit like what you're seeing here on the top. Although you see lung volume in liters, you'll actually have values there to read off, and you'll see seconds on the bottom in time. And then I'm on this page because you'll need to identify in this activity these different arrows. So you'll see down below, it will have you label the different arrows, and I'm going to go through the different arrows on the next page. So what you've actually done here is you have, like our probe where we looked at our heartbeat and we looked at the electrical impulse that went through the heart, what this is doing, we were breathing into a probe that was attached to the computer. And what it did was it looked at the volume that we breathed in and out. So the way this activity was actually done was you would breathe 5 times normally, just sitting and breathing normally. And then, so these were normal breaths in and out. And then after you'd done 5 times, you would inhale as much as you could possibly inhale, and then you would blow out as much as you could blow out. Okay? So you'd take a huge breath in, and then you'd blow that breath out and blow out as much breath as possible. And then you would breathe normally again. Okay? So that is what you're seeing here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what those different arrows would be. So we have, this is a little easier for me. You will actually be calculating using these values on the side, okay? So when you're asked to figure out the lung volume or the tidal volume, for example, or the lung capacity, you're going to be using liters. Okay, and you know the term liters, it's a volume term, and you're going to actually calculate based on the numbers you see on the side, so you'll have to do some subtraction in order to find the different volumes you're looking for. But let's look at what the arrows actually mean. So the first one that we see is called tidal volume, and tidal volume is what you breathe out normally. Okay, so I have this handy dandy little thing here, and I'm going to pick one of my smaller peaks, and I'm going to put this at the point of that smaller peak. And then I'm going to drop this down to the matching valley next to that peak. So I'm going to have a difference here. Now I'm able to actually read this on, and this would be what you would be doing if you were in lab, but you could read it on the computer. But instead, you're going to be calculating from 3.0 down to, it looks like about 2.35 or something like that. So you'll actually physically calculate that by taking the line and drawing it from the top of that mountain to the lowest valley next to it. Okay, and you'll calculate based on that. Mine is going to tell me that I have 0.61 liters. So my TV, this is going to be my tidal volume. That's what I normally breathe in and out, is going to be 0.61. The next one that you'll see on your sheet is the inspiratory capacity. That's as much as I can breathe in. Okay, it's important to remember that a lot of your lung volume you don't use on a normal basis. And even looking at taking a huge breath in and out, you really don't get a really accurate idea of your lung capacity, but we're going to try. So we've got our tidal volume, that's going to be our first arrow. Our second arrow is going to be from the bottom of this peak where we start taking in our breath to the very top. And that's going to be our inspiratory capacity from when we've breathed out here as much as we can breathe in. All right, and that's going to tell me it's 2.83 on this example. And then the next one I want to do is called my inspiratory reserve. And the reserve means that I don't use it all the time. All right, so my normal volume that I use is going to be here in my tidal volume. So my inspiratory reserve is going to be what I don't usually use unless I really need it. So you can see that I'm going to go from the top of my tidal volume peak up to the very top of my inspiration. And that's going to be 2.25 in this example. My next one, and that's going to be my inspiratory reserve. So I have my tidal volume, my inspiratory capacity, and now my inspiratory reserve. The next one that I'm going to look at is going to be down here. And this is going to be what we call my ER, or my expiratory reserve. Remember, I breathed out as much as I could here. So from the bottom of my, let's see, I'll do it from this point, okay, across, and this one will go down to the bottom. All right, so this is how much of my capacity that I only used when I breathed out as much as I could possibly breathe out. And we can see that that, in this case, is 0.85 liters. And then the last one is called our vital capacity. And our vital capacity is going to be the arrow that goes from the bottom, where we are right here, all the way to the top. And that is going to reflect the total capacity of our lungs as we just used them. Okay, so that actually is 3.9. So that will give you an idea of where to start with the worksheet. And the first things you're going to have to do is get those all arrows labeled so you know what you're looking for, and then do some math. And you'll be handing in that page as well.